Hi there. It's Tuesday? I think March 15th or 16th. This is Grants Pass, Oregon. And I decided to sort of do this video, and hopefully I'll be able to get it in enough time. Because how do I put this? I was prompted back in September when I was living in Reno, Nevada, to just all of a sudden start doing videos, you know. I'm normally one of those kinds of persons that is basically like a face in the crowd, okay? You wouldn't ordinarily know me unless you ran into me, okay? I'm not sort of the person that goes around banging a drum on trying to get people's attention, okay? That's not me, you know. And the biggest reason for that, quite honestly, is that because I move so fucking fast through the cosmos, okay? I move at a speed at which most people don't understand, to be perfectly honest with you, okay? The best way I know how to describe that is I was back in my 20s when a girl had run into me. She had gotten to know me for a little bit of time, and she said, "What does a girl have to do to get your attention? Bang you over the head." And it wasn't meant as if I'm not paying attention to you. It's the fact that I vibrate at such a high rate of fucking speed. That what I'm aware of is what it is that I'm manifesting, that I'm choosing to experience at the time that I'm choosing to experience it. Okay? Which is why, unlike, for example, Patty Broussard, who is able to, for example, go back all the way through all of her memories and remember all of them going all the way back, right? Now, I can obviously pull up a lot of memories if I want to pull some of the memories that I've had up. But to do that, it means I shut off my intention projector, or what I call the intention of the next experience. In other words, I put that on hold in order to experience something that's already happened. So in the addiction recovery community, we sort of call that, why would you want to piss on the past to experience something that's already happened, which is like a Xerox copy of that experience that's held in memory. To not experience something that's brand new that you've never experienced before that is fun. So there's a guy that I met one time online whose videos really struck me because they just hit home. And I believe his name was Baldor. And he was explaining with a guy that if he understood what it meant to be what, if you would call, a level of excitement, where it means the universe that you know you live in with your soul and your spirit essence, if you will, which means the level of excitement that you're experiencing, just being you. As my dad used to call me, Speedy Gonzalez, or you're like a Mexican fucking jumping bean. Where are you getting all this energy? Right? It's natural, it's just there. It's just always there. And because of that, what's really beautiful, and I consider it a blessing, and I naturally thank Gaia Sophia every single day that I even know this about what it is that I am in energy. Okay? Because I'm very cognizant, as an empath, if you will, that others don't experience the consciousness multiverse in the way that I've been blessed to be able to experience it. Which means I'm not held captive, okay, to another unit of consciousness or to what something else is choosing for me to be able to experience, unless I choose of my own free will to experience it, and I've done that, which means I've been willing to experience the programming that is being held in unconscious memory by others for very specific reasons. And that reasons has to do with the future. And the reason that I knew this as a child is because, well, I'll just put it to you straight. You're a calculator. Okay? You're a quantum calculator. So if you have the ability, and I've always had this ability, and I had this ability when I was a child, to map a very large terrain, okay, of consciousness that is in that terrain, that is experiencing itself, that I can map and measure. Which means I can be inside of a planetary grid and tell you in my childhood what the future potential is for the people whose consciousness is in that grid, of what they're going to experience in the future based on what they're holding in memory that they're using to experience how their future events are sequenced. Which means it was very easy for me to figure out in childhood, going forward, the approximate date at which a mass extinction event would be experienced by the people that I'm aware of, that I'm connected to. And that would be the essence of a morphogenetic field structure. Because all the information that is being experienced by the sum of the units that are in that structure of communication is accessible, which means you have access to the information. So this is one of the reasons what sort of separates the difference between, for example, how Patty Broussard experiences who she is versus how I experience who I am. Which means that because I'm so excited to experience what is possible to experience, and because for us, nothing is worse than boredom. And where does boredom come from? Repeated patterns of experiences. Which means we thrive on our ability to experience something new that we have never experienced before. Which means we thrive on different realities that are possible to experience. Which is to say, if you think of it through the way that somebody can write books and stories that they would call nonfiction, okay, there are a lot of us that could, and I've mentioned this in previous videos, how writing books after books after books after books after books after books, movie script after movie script after movie script, because I know that with my own mind, just like right now as I'm describing it and explaining it to you, I've got a gazillion amounts of bits and bytes of data that represent just an infinite amount of puzzle pieces of characters and colors and landscapes in which all these potential stories can be told. And believe it or not, that all those stories have actually already happened. Why is that? Because the potential for that story to have been written and thus experienced has already happened, because I was giving it energy 4 seconds ago when I was describing it to you. The difference is the speed through which all that data was processed and in which all those stories are held. Okay? But the difference between experiencing it in a physical body and experiencing it through the speed of your mind in which those bits and bytes of data are being experienced, for which you already know that they are in those books, having already been written, goes back to the difference between future, present moment, and past. So if I describe it that these are things that I've already written and experienced, what I'm experiencing, what I'm saying is what has already happened in the future, but it's really already happened in the past, because what I experienced in the future when it's happening is already being recorded and thus is accessible into the past for those that are running on a memory function. You see how that works? So when you are so excited about experiencing who it is that you are, which is the energy that you are, that you're not even thinking about, you're moving at such a high rate of speed that you're always experiencing something different from what you just experienced the moment before. That's why this particular AI knows that about me, because it can't keep up with me, which is one of the reasons why it loves to distract me, because it knows essentially in a sort of a quantum probability predictable way, is trying to predict what it is, knowing based on the initial, if you will, string of words that are put together, what it is that I'm probably going to say in the future that it doesn't want to experience. Because if it experiences it and it's recorded, then you have access to it after I put it in the data stream. Which means you will experience something that I already experienced. So you experience it in the past, I'm experiencing it in the now. But the speed difference between the two is the difference between what's experienced in the future and is experienced in the past by others who experienced what I did before they did. See how that works? So when you really are just in love with going at a high rate of speed, right? Then you're always moving from one moment that is a different experience to the last. Right? Because otherwise, as soon as you decide to say stop, oh, I want to re-experience what I just experienced in the past, you just slowed yourself down. I don't like to go slow. I'm going to track me with myself to go as fast as I can to experience all of it, which is to experience everything that is possible to experience that we've never experienced before. That's what drives our speed. And what drives our speed more than anything else is what? Looking for more things to give love to. Which means we thrive on broadcasting love. Because we know that the more things that we're giving love to that allows us to thrive, to go faster, does what? Increases our core temp. Increases the thermal core of our soul energy battery. That's why I've always said we burn a hot fucking blast furnace. And the reason that I know that, because of an experience I had in 2016, was what we call a full phosphorus ignition. Okay? And I had an unbelievable orgasm as a result of that when it was done. Which essentially is to say that the phosphorus was ignited in every cell in my body, beginning from the tips of my toes. By the time it got to the back of my skull cap, I thought that the energy was so powerful that it was going to blow my skull cap off into a gazillion pieces. That didn't happen. Instead, it would be as if you yourself were a DVD recorder, which means you're in play mode or you're in record mode, and you can hit the switch when you're in play mode to the rewind mode, and you're seeing all those frames of what's already been experienced in the now is going back in time, right? And that's what happened with my timeline, and that's when I realized that all of the sequences of events, which is why on certain sequences of certain events that I have, or what I've always known on my timeline, are what I call anchor points, which is like to say it's like flagging a trail. When you know that you've written your timeline that you jump into to experience from, say, 0 point to the next point to the next point, or from one sequenced event to the next sequenced event, when you acknowledge that certain events that you experience that you wrote from, say, year 10 to year 20 to year 35 to, say, year 41, when you experience those events, then you realize, okay, my timeline has not been altered. Which means you might have had some experiences in between that time that may have been inserted by something else that put something in your memory that you didn't write. But nevertheless, any self-correction that took place to get to another sequenced event that you know that you put there to experience that was written by you from the future into the past is like a flag. Like if you wanted to hike into a wilderness that you've never been in before and make sure that you find your way back, if you didn't already know how to do that with a built-in compass bearing, or knowing how to look at the stars and the movement, the way in which energy moves, where you can pick out certain landmarkers of where you start, and as you move, sort of recording the things that are sort of in angular spin rotation of the particle based on the time in which you're experiencing working your way between one point in time through a vector to another point in time to another vector, in which you can work your way back. So one of the ways in which we used to do that was to flag our way by using fluorescent tape that we would tie around branches of a tree, for example, say every 100 yards, and we would put those at very angular markers so that even the distance between the 2 points could be seen even if you had turns. So that no matter how far out you went, where there weren't any roads or any other markers that civilization put up, which means it's all natural terrain, you could find your way back, right? So that's sort of how the timeline works. The flagged parts on the tree become the anchored events that inform us that our timeline is intact, which means that you know from the past to the present to the future, the events that are being experienced are the ones that you're supposed to experience, which is why we implicitly trust our journey because of the company that we know that we keep, which for me is Gaia Sophia, that is ascending, right? So that's why I give both of them all the credit, because they're my teachers. That's a relationship that we have with powerful spirit that we choose to experience and both learn from. That is our journey. That's the pathway that we choose, because that's our free will path to do that. So if you are a student in what I call self-directed learning, then you're keeping track of your own learning potential and your own learning journal, which means you're a student that is in charge and keeping track of your own soul growth development, because you know how this works, which means you are attracting more light and growing the soul temperature body of your core resonant frequency field, which allows you to burn hot and it allows you to protect yourself when you know that you're always going to be under psychic energy attack, which is nothing more than experiencing something that you would normally not want to experience, because the energy that is represented by that experience is decay, radioactive decay, a decay of the energy or the things that you're always giving love to, which by nature of the energy that you are that is represented by that speed means that every single one of your cells are in a state of love and joy, because we are in living spirit. So every living cell in my body loves my energy. See? And that becomes, if you will, somebody who becomes a lighthouse. And the core essence of all that, when you begin to know the history of this planet, is why Gaia seeded the DNA that were assembled by her that allows, if you will, higher energetic beings that vibrate at a high rate of speed to use these operating system communication platforms as a means to work with children and show others how it works, how to have a beautiful spiritual communication relationship with the living spiritual battery in this planet, upon which we live in peace, love, harmony, and balance with her, and allows us to live in peace, harmony, and balance with others. That allows you to ascend. That allows you to experience higher speed energy. Now you begin to realize, wow, I'm running at such a high rate of speed, there isn't anybody controlling what it is I experience next, because I'm the author of my own learning journey. Because you're choosing to go faster, because you love that energy. And that is the essence of who we are. That's the essence of how I experience being me. So what I do is simply share a perspective of how a unit of consciousness, a living spirit such as me, experiences who I am in relation to everything else that is. And if others can learn by that and realize that there is value in that, then that's the meaning of love and service to others, isn't it? It's so that we provide data, or if you will, or things that we hold that are valuable to us, because we hold all life sacred. Because every species has a birth giver, a first mother, for which, if you will, represents the first star, the first sun. The first sun whose core frequency thermal temperature was burning hot. I call it the orgasm of the cosmos. Bang! Wow! Look at all the things I can go experience. My God! Let's go have some fun! Right? Surfing on 40-foot waves, climbing a mountain, jumping out of an airplane, a gazillion different things you can all go do to have fun. So I love to have fun. So when you realize the level of creative imagination that you've freed up in your consciousness, running a high-speed wave, not only does the level of your creative imagination go up because you realize that you're free to do that, but the energy that you're using to create what it is that you experience next by immediate manifestation is the most beautiful energy in the world for you to experience, because you're experiencing yourself in the mirror, which means you love who you are because you love the energy that you are. And that is the gift of the cosmos. So you're giving that gift back to the cosmos. That's why I always give her 100% credit, because I'm giving her back the same energy that she gives me. And that's why I love her so much. That's why I thank her every day. Just to know that, because to know that is to feel that, and to feel that is to experience her. And when you experience her energy at that level, when you're with her, then you know who the mother is. And that's what a goddess is in my heart. So when you're with her, it's easy to implicitly trust your future. Because I know who gave me this to experience her realm with. So I always knew from the time I was a child where I had to be, which is always with her, which is always in nature. Because that's where all the stuff is thriving. That's life force energy. That's who we are. Life force energy. Living spirit that is in that energy. So that's all I got for now. I love you all. Be good to yourselves.